Hello, everybody. Today I got here Eddie Wheeler from Guava Listings, and we're going to talk about copywriting. I'm super excited, Eddie. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, for having me.
Yeah, I love the name Guava Listing. Tell me a little bit about that. I love the name and I love the color.
Yeah. So, I was, when I was thinking of names for my agency, I just wanted something that was like fun to say, and I always found guava is a fun thing to say. Plus, I live abroad in Thailand, and I travel around while I work in tropical places, so I felt it was kind of a good reflection of my personality as well. And just kind of stands out, right? So.
Definitely does. I really love the color. That also neon green. I think that it's definitely an eye catcher. How did you get into copywriting?
Yeah, so I got into copywriting, about 3 years ago now. But I've, kind of been doing it all day, every day for those 3 years. And I was a lifelong writer, but when I was actually launching my own Amazon product, and I learned the Amazon SEO and everything like that. That product actually didn't do so well. It was kind of like a Me Too product, kind of rookie mistake there. I launched a second product that's still getting into some of the methods that we can use to really, elevate our copy. So, one of the most important things is being benefit focused, right? So benefit focus, it is right highlighting the benefits to your customer rather than features, right? So, I kind of said this in the beginning, but why should we do that?
Well, I mean, most of my clients don't even know what the benefit of their own product is. So it's really helpful when they come up and say, so why would people want to buy your water bottle compared to everybody else's? So I think it's important. Otherwise it gets quite boring, I guess, if you just say, oh, it's a double insulated water bottle or whatever. It's just like, that's what everybody else has too. And to convince somebody what's in there for me, I guess that's why people want to make the purchase, yes or no, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's what's in it for me. What does that do, right? So someone might be able to guess what it does, but you don't want to assume that they're going to know, right? You want to like lay it out for them exactly how it's going to solve their problem or benefit their life, right? You want it clear as day. You want it to be the main focus. And that's going to, engage them much more. So we can look at some examples, right? Some bad examples and some good examples throughout this presentation. But so for this one, so large size. This garlic press has a 4-inch diameter bowl, one of the largest models on the market. It has 8-inch handles and a hinge mechanism to make everything work efficiently. Right. So can you know what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, it still has all the features in it, which I guess are important, but it doesn't really tell me what's in it for me. I mean, why is the extra the 4-inch diameter ball important for me, right? Why? What problem does it solve for me? So a bit sad.
Yeah, it's boring, right? And it's just okay. Large size, okay. Again, like you don't want somebody guessing. They might be able to guess why it's good, but we want to really make that apparent, right? And one of the largest models on the market, like nobody cares, right? That's about your product and no one cares about that. And what is a hinge mechanism making everything work efficiently? Like, what does that do? Right.
Me being a woman and cooking a lot, I wouldn't even know what a hinge mechanism is. I would just be like, I don't know. What does it even tell me?
Exactly. Yeah. So for a good example, and to be honest, like I might even, take out the inches part, but regardless, it's a much better example here, right? Smash more garlic. With a 4-inch diameter bowl, crush more garlic than ever before. This will save you time in the kitchen, especially for those ultra garlicky recipes. Plus, the 8-inch handles allow for smooth use. So can you pick out the different benefits that we got across here?
Yeah, well, I like the time saving. Time is always poor, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to cook. I like that it smashes more garlic. Seems to be really nice and easy to use. So I see 3 benefits: more, quicker, and easier to use. Perfect.
Yeah. Exactly. So, we're making it very apparent, and something like smash more garlic, it's kind of like, kind of grabs your eye a little bit more, especially than large size, and yeah, a little empowering, right? Like, oh, smash it, right? So just, kind of getting more fun words that make sense for the product, of course. You don't want to go too crazy Dr. Seuss with it, but, smash more garlic, crush more, yeah, save you time. That's a huge thing for people. That's a benefit for anybody. And yeah, it's easy to use, smooth use. So, so we're still getting across the features, right? Hey, we have a large bowl, right? And, the handles are easy to use, right? It makes everything work efficiently, right? They're smooth to use. So we're really getting across to that person, like what the benefits are. Right. So something very similar and very related to benefit focus is you focus. So some copywriters will kind of lump these two together, but so of course being you focus means getting across the benefit, what's in it for me, kind of thing. But also really simply using the words you, you'll, your often, right? So why do we do this, right? So by using these words, right, we're kind of subconsciously priming someone to think about themselves, right? Which is what you want as the seller. When someone's thinking about themselves, using the product, their problem, or either agitating their problem, using the product to solve the problem, or getting the benefit across, like maybe with some kind of like scene in their head where they're using it, as in a daydream. Then yeah, they're going to be much more engaged and much more likely to buy. And so like an extra little trick, right, is including stuff like your product, right? So your water bottle or your new water bottle will, so you don't want to overdo that, but that's just another way. It kind of helps break up like this water bottle or the water bottle, right? So it can kind of help break up some of those words too. And it's just kind of just like a nice little kind of subliminal messaging.
Right, and this it seems from my whole bullet point, probably most likely the bullet points, because I don't think many people actually read the description. So I put this you focus in like the first bullet point, or is there some order that you would put down for
yeah, so yeah, maybe it does depend. The first, so again, like you wouldn't want to say your water bottle 10 times, because then it's going to be obvious what you're doing. So yeah, you could do it in the first bullet point, because then that's first bullet point is most likely what most people would read, and so I think it makes sense to put it in your first bullet. But yeah, you can have it another time throughout, and then even once on the images or stuff like that. So yeah, but you still using like the words you'll still using that throughout the copy, just not necessarily your product, right, or your new product, right? Just use this tactic a handful of times. So bad and good example, right? Bad example. Safety compliant. Snoop Dogg LLC is committed to the safety of children. Our dinosaur toy is CPC certified and CPST compliant. Our T-Rex is made with food grade silicone and we don't use any nasty chemicals. So there's a few things wrong here, but what can you see that's wrong?
But mainly they're talking about themselves, right? It's our T-Rex and it's our dinosaur, and yes, it's great. Nasty chemicals, great, but it doesn't really refer to the actual product and where's the benefit for me, right? I mean, why is this? It's important, but why is it so important for me? And also like the lead in safety compliant. I mean, that's what you would expect. It could be anything, right? It could be a crane that they're advertising here. So it's not very engaging, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, not engaging, lead in, boring, like what you would see on about a million different products, right? And yeah, just using the word our, this is, we are this is our toy. Not that you can never use the word our, but you definitely want to limit it, If you're doing a brand story or brand mission, you can use it, or if something's super duper unique about your product. But for the most part, like, you should avoid the word our. And so, the good example, right, is, safe for your baby. Your new dinosaur toy is free of harmful additives. This is tested by independent labs that follow CPST guidelines. If your child is a chewer, no worries. The T-Rex is made with food-grade silicone and makes a great teether. So anything jump out at you that's better about that one?
Obviously, your new dinosaur toy, which we just discussed, which is great. I also like the lead in, because obviously now I know what's my benefit. It's a safe toy for my child. I do like the whole thing. I also still like that it follows the guidelines. That it needs to be part of it, right? And but I can also see why food grade silicon now is important, because it's important because my kids can actually chew it. So I do like that one. But I have one little criticism. It's a little long. Because sometimes I feel like a lot of people write a lot of text, especially in their bullet points. What's your ideal your idea about the length of the bullet points?
Yeah. So for me personally, I do I try to set it for about 250 characters, 200 to 250 characters, depending on the complexity of the product. And that is because, something like 100 is definitely too low. And I understand that some people think I just want to be really concise with it, and someone will actually read that. But the problem with that is then you can't actually get in really enough keywords and it to actually flow. Maybe you can get in one, but then if a keyword phrase is already, however many characters, right, that might be a fifth, depending on how long the keyword phrase is, right? It could be a fifth of what you're working with. And so, I think expanding it, right, because doing the lead-ins really concisely can do the same effect, right? So if somebody is a fast reader or a scanner, they can still get that short little bit from the lead-in, and then we can go into more detail, as long as the copy is engaging, not 400 characters, that's way too much and intimidating to someone to read, but 200, 250 characters is still not too long. It lets you get up to 2 keyword phrases in fairly naturally.
1 second.
And then,
something
what was
happen
that?
to my speaker.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
I don't know. Lucky you can cut this out.
Good.
Apology.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're back on. Okay. Sorry, rewind.
So 200 to 250 characters is what I found is the sweet spot between still flowing well, going into enough detail to flesh it out, and then also getting in the keyword phrases. As long as your lead-ins are really good summaries of what's going on, right? Someone who's scanning, they might see it, and then they might pick out the one that is important to them. Maybe not read all 5, but so that's what I found the sweet spot to be. Cool. Okay, so, and again, probably all these 3 are all quite related, but painting a picture. So the big thing here, right, is to show and don't tell, right? Again, getting the shopper to have a daydream about using the product, right? Presenting a life scene that they would be familiar with, or something that is likely for them. Right, they need to imagine themselves using the product before buying, and then that's always going to increase your conversion rate. So this in practice, right? And this one I did underline the keyword phrases just because they were a bit longer, just so that you can see them as well and recognize them as keyword phrases that we have to maybe get in somehow. So this one, the lead-in, the header is quite good, stimulate imagination, but let's read the rest. Bath time is more fun and educational with these animal bath bombs for kids. There's a surprise toy inside these bath bombs for boys and girls, great for animal lovers of all ages. Right, so not the worst thing ever, right? This is a pretty common bullet point, and you're getting the benefits, you're getting, the features, well, yeah, benefits to a certain extent. But yeah, we could definitely do better, right? We could definitely do better because this is all just showing, or sorry, this is all just telling, right? We want to show. So again, we can use the same, lead in header here, but make bath time fun and educational with these animal bath bombs for kids. Your child's face will light up with excitement when they find the surprise toy inside. Give these bath bombs for boys and girls to animal lovers of all ages. Right? So can you spot the difference?
It
There's quite
makes
a few
me feel like
differences.
I'm a good mummy by making a fun time and not just like, describing it. So it's like I'm actually part of it. I'm the reason. Me giving my child this bath bomb makes me
Yeah.
a really good person in this whole picture, which I like. I like the light up faces, and I like that it's a bit more subtle about the surprise toy. So that's I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So you're painting the picture of this life scene here. So again, like, yes, so there's several things here, right? Just using like action verbs, like you're the one doing it, right? And so that's kind of making someone imagine themselves, and then also like them getting that, oh yeah, like like you said, I'm the good mom, I'm the person that's doing this, right? And then this life scene here, right? Your child's face will light up with excitement when they find the surprise toy inside. So now this person is thinking about their kid, super excited, super happy, finding and actually like using the product to find the toy inside, right? So this whole scene is going on in your head, and it's, going to be focused on your kid, right? So that's so much more, what's more emotional for a parent. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I'm sure you could agree that.
I would like that if they, especially bath time can be quite challenging, right? So having a bath bomb, which is already a bit fun because it's bubbles, but then if they also say something inside, they might forget that they actually have to still wash themselves. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of benefits in it for me to make bath time easier.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, going here, instead of great for animal lovers of all ages, right? Give these bath bombs for boys and girls to animal lovers of all ages.
I have a
So
question about
just again,
great.
yeah.
I read this actually a lot. Great for, ideal for, the best if, great gift for, but Amazon doesn't actually like the great gift since recently. But how do I overcome this great for, ideal for, best used for something?
Yeah. And look, it's not that you can and never, ever use it, but yeah, it's just trying to turn that into an action, or like a soft call to action, like, give these bath bombs for boys. So it's like, not just great for animal lovers of all ages, right? The point of saying this was saying like, hey, like, kids of all ages are going to like this, whether they're 3 or they're 10, right? But instead give these, right? You're still getting that across, what you need to get across, that kids from 3 to 10 or whatever are going to like this, but instead you're giving it to them. So just try it, like in any just try to find if there's like a certain action that you could put there instead of saying great for, like, instead of saying this water bottle is great for hikes, bike rides, and the gym, right? You can say, hydrate with this water bottle while you're hiking, biking, or working out, right? So hydrate, or bring this water bottle with you, or, something like that, or keep your drinks cold while you're hiking, running. So it's always just trying to turn it into an action if you can. Yeah.
That's a great way of thinking about it.
Yeah, and then that's also right. That's like a call to action without saying buy now or add to cart, right? It's kind of like a softer call to action. Okay, so all of those principles, right, can definitely be applied to your images. This one is really more focused for your bullet points and product description and text for in A+ content, but so just sewing in keyword phrases naturally, right? So not robotically keyword stuffing in the name of SEO, right? Like you don't want to just sound like a robot. It's just, blah, 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 like just getting in these random keywords, right? You want to get them in as naturally as possible. Now, we have to have a balance because yes, like some of the keyword phrases aren't going to be the most naturally flowing, but they might be important. So you need to have some kind of balance here where, yes, if we didn't have to get this keyword in, maybe we can make it sound a little bit better, but we need to get this keyword in. So it's about getting it in as without disrupting reading flow, and without like taking them out of the daydream that they're supposed to be having.
Okay.
All right, so great party decor. These palm leaves artificial are perfect for a luau theme party, jungle theme party, safari theme party, luau birthday party, or tiki party.
A lot of party going on.
Yeah.
But
it loses.
Full on. It's full on. I see listings like this every day.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is still like different parties, right? Where if you have a serving tray and it's a serving tray for coffee table, a serving tray for ottoman table, coffee table, serving tray, then it gets really, really boring and it's just exhausting to read that.
Yeah, exactly. It loses its punch, it loses its power, and yeah, it's just it gets exhausting to read. And you look like, I understand there's a lot of people that they want to just get every single keyword phrase in possible, and I can understand that. But right, if your conversion rate might suffer from that, then it's not worth getting in all these, different keyword phrases, right? So we have to be, because that will actually hurt your SEO. If your conversion rate is low, your SEO is going to be hurt as well. So, it's just not really worth it. That being said, we do want to get the most high value phrases in. And then, look at this one, right? Palm leaves artificial, right? That's, people aren't, when they're typing, they aren't, thinking about grammar or readability, right? They're just typing it in. So yeah, maybe this is super important, but, we should try to add like a word to the beginning or end, not in the middle, right? Because that will disrupt the keyword phrase, but at the end or something, right? So good example, right? Cue the hula music. Time to throw a jammin' luau theme party. Decorate your yard with this palm leaves artificial set and transport your guests to the tropics.
By adding the word set, you just make it sound like, just make it a bit more smooth. Yeah.
It's not like the most smooth thing ever, but it's way more smooth, right? And it doesn't stop like the reading, right? It doesn't stop the reading flow.
So how do you, I mean, obviously, like you just said, a lot of people want to put a lot of keywords in there. And if you do, like you use your Helium 10, then you get these 5,000 keywords. And obviously you can shorten them, but it's still maybe 150 or whatever left. How do you choose which ones to use and where do you place the most? In what order you do that?
So essentially, like usually we'll use Helium 10 to, get the data. So using your top competitors and then come up with like a relevancy score, which essentially uses the COUNTIF formula on Excel to see if they're on page 1 or not. And so with that score, like, organize the data by that score and search volume, and then just go in and say, okay, like, well, 10 out of 10 of my competitor ASINs were ranking on page 1 for this term, right? So that's going to be something that you want to look at more than something that's, only 2 of them are ranking on page 1 for, right? So that's one metric we look at, as well as search volume, but of course competition as well. Don't necessarily, especially if you are a new seller or like, a 6-figure seller or something like that, where you might not necessarily be able to like go after the search term with, 17,000 search volume, because it's going to be super competitive, right? So maybe you start going after ones that are less competitive first, and then kind of like build up from there, right? But for in terms of once you've kind of identified a list of 20 to 30 that you really want to try to get into your listing in some way, whether that be the front or back end, you would go, title first, the most important words in the title, then next bullet points, next product description. Even if you have A+ content, your product description keywords will still index and give you some good SEO juice, as I like to call it. And then, back end, and then also like, something that a lot of people think is their A+ content text doesn't index, but it actually does. So you can actually, it's probably the least powerful, but it is something that you can still, you use some keywords there as well. And it could also help your Google SEO. So
that's right. Yeah, okay. And how do you think about changing? So let's say I'm put my initial keywords in there, I'm a bit easier to rank. And then eventually I want to build up and I do have some organic ranking on achieved on those keywords. Is it easy to change the tag? I mean, I know it is technically, but does it make sense? How does it hurt me and how does it benefit me?
yeah, so sometimes like with the title, it can be a little bit more difficult. Amazon's making it more difficult to do. And yeah, with so you can with the title a little bit, but definitely wouldn't like redo it. Like maybe try to like put in one new word at a time, one new keyword phrase at a time, and like not completely change it if you do go that route. But your bullet points are way easier to change. And so yeah, like after 3 months, 6 months, if you want to like revisit with fresh keyword research or seeing, hey, like, okay, now I have all this sales history, I could probably start going after these higher volume words. Then yeah, you can kind of like a listing refresh, right? It's just kind of replacing some of the keyword phrases in your bullets, certainly your product description. So everything like that, yeah. Does pretty well on Amazon. But through that process, I realized like, wow, I could actually like, write these listings really well. So I took some copywriting, courses, read some books, and then just started offering my freelance services as a Amazon copywriter.
Mm-hmm. I find copywriting really intimidating. So, like I teach a lot of students how to source and stuff like that. But when it comes to copywriting, they're all like, what do you mean I have to write this now? I thought I just source my product and pop it on. So I'm really excited to learn from you how to do it properly so my clients can learn and hopefully I can do some improvements on my own. So do you want to share some information on what copywriting is and what I think the most important features are, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. We can go into some slides that I prepared. Is going to go over just some, just a few copywriting like techniques that I have found, that have gotten our clients results. And, it is for Amazon specifically, and a lot of the examples are for Amazon, but really the principles can be applied to any of your copywriting, whether that's your email, on your website, or whatever it might be. So yeah, so really the whole goal of copywriting, right, is to increase your conversions. Copywriting is a way to start, driving the emotion of your customer so they take the action that you want them to take. In this case, right, and for Amazon, it's the clicking buy now or add to cart. So something that like I really like to get across to people when I'm talking about this is that like, all the text on your listing is copywriting. A lot of people, when they think of copywriting, they only think of like your bullet points or your plain text product description. I can understand that, why people think that, but it's really like on everything on your listing, especially on your images, right? Actually, the copywriting on your images or your EBC/A+ content images are probably the most important copywriting that goes onto your listing, right? Because when they click on your listing, where does somebody look first?
Images. I mean, I always say that you got 3 seconds to convince somebody. People just gonna look at your images and it needs to pop. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are not aware that the actual copy on your images would also be a copy. So do you have any ideas or can you give us some tips on how to make like an infographic a bit more appealing and more fun and more, interesting? Because sometimes, when you just talk about the size and these are the 5 things that's included, it's really boring. Can you make that a bit more copy?
Yeah, exactly. So, the copy on it is really important too, right? So like, of course, like you want like a good striking image, some lifestyle images in there so the person can connect with that target audience. So the actual image is super important, but yeah, the copy that goes onto it. So instead of saying like, what's included. Something very simple. It's like everything you need, right, that you could put on, right? So we'll go over more of that later in the presentation of like you focus and benefit focus. But yeah, really just like trying to get the benefits across in a concise way. So not, not double wall vacuum, steel. You can say that, right? You can like have like something, yeah, you can say something like, okay, yes, this is like a double stainless steel wall. But also you should have the headline, right? Keeps your drinks icy cold or something like that, right? That's off the top of my head. So you're getting the benefit onto the image, right? Because, people buy for benefits, not features. So yeah, you kind of want to also get that across in your images. Yeah. Yeah. So exactly. So it's the first place someone looks, and it's so super important to get the copy dialed in. But even your title as well, right? So you need to be concise, right? Because obviously it's the most important for SEO. But especially in that first part, you do want to put some kind of benefit or USP in that first part, because when someone's looking, clicking, right? Of course, the main image and review count is probably a higher influence on click-through rate, but your title can have influence. So, again, not just trying to put 20 keywords in your title, make it somewhat readable concisely, right? So something, again, off the top of my head, but, Tumblr to keep drinks cold, or keep drinks cold, right? So just something really, the benefit or USP, or like, spill proof lid, right? Something that's like, don't stretch it out, but, concise. So, yeah, so that's all I had for slides. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yes, obviously we know your website, wowotherthings.com. How else can people reach you?
Yeah, so yeah, website is probably the best way, but you can also follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. And yeah, we are always putting out content on, just copywriting and image creation and everything like that. So if you want to do it yourself, follow us for lots of helpful content. But if you'd like some help with it too, you can get in touch on the websites, fill out our Google form, and yeah, then we can be in touch.
So how would if I wanted to engage you, do I give you something that I've already written and you just like redo it, or can I even come to you and say, I have no idea what to do, please write my listing?
Yeah, both. Yeah, we do optimizations and listings from scratch. So, if you have a listing that's not performing well or not as good as it probably should be, we can definitely kind of revamp it, redo it, just depending on, what exactly needs to be done. And then from scratch as well. So, yeah, you just fill out a brief, we hop on a call, and then, yeah, we just can kind of go over it from there, and then we'll pretty much done for you. We'll send it to you, about a business week later, and yeah, set you up for higher conversions, traffic, and sales.
I love that. I love myself, so do most people, I guess. I had a look through your blog, and I really like the topic. Super easy to read, great to follow. Love obviously the headline for people. Like literally, will find all the answers for their questions about copywriting on your blog. Just a few more questions. One is about the title. I always get the question from my students if they should put their brand in there or not. What is your take on that?
Yeah, so I think yeah, I know Amazon does kind of want it. But you can not put it there. And so I do suggest, if it's a new brand, to not, and only once you start kind of building a brand following, then maybe it would make sense to do so. Because when you don't have a brand, right, you're just kind of wasting valuable SEO space and other space. If someone is looking for a water bottle, you can just say like water bottle to keep drinks cold, and you're going to be fitting in that, into that space more. So that's the first thing somebody reads. So overall, I suggest new sellers or new brands not to. And then once you kind of have a following, then you can put it in.
Yeah, I agree. And I think once you brand register, Amazon does it automatically without taking any space of your actual title. So that's a good thing. And what tools do you use? Do you just sit there with a paper and just write everything? Or maybe on a computer? Or do you use any tools?
Yeah, so for the keyword research, like I mentioned earlier, I believe, right, we use Helium 10 Cerebro, and then also sometimes Magnet for supplemental keyword research. And then writing it in scribbles, right, to kind of keep track of the keyword phrases. Like you load up the keyword phrases in Helium 10 Scribbles, and then kind of keep track. Now they actually do have a new listing optimizer, which I still really need to get a hold on. I've just been using Scribbles for so long that I don't want to change, but I think it's very similar in its functions and actually adds a lot of functions to it as well.
And I do like the new one a bit better. I feel it's a bit easier. It's a bit more structured when it comes to keywords, and it gives you little ticks. People love ticks when they say, okay, yes, I have fulfilled this requirement. In saying that, all these tools are more about like a quantity thing rather than a quality. So they will check if you have a minimum of 150 characters in your title. They won't tell you if you actually written a good title. So you still need an expert to overlook what you've written, but the quantity kind of thing, that makes sense to me. And what's your take on any AI tools? So there's a few AI tools that I've been testing lately, where you just like type in your competitors for your similar product, I think up to 10, and then you click on it and it will just write you a listing.
Yeah, so I think that it's could be good if you want to just get something to like start your mind going, right? Like, so if you're struggling with just a blank Google Doc or Word doc or whatever it is, that can kind of help you get started, right? The AI isn't quite there, I found, for really, really good copywriting. Like, look, it's getting there. It's getting there. I might be out of a job in 5 years, but it's not there yet. So it could be helpful for kind of helping you create an outline, I think. But then you still should go in and really you apply these copywriting principles to, really make it engaging and not robotic, right? So.
And obviously, we don't know how great these other copies are. So if you just have a really bad Chinese competitors who for some reason sell the best, you probably get a lot of keyword stuffing in your AI listing anyhow, because they just don't know. They just take what they get. I used this AI tool on some listings, and it gave me some good ideas. So I did like it for if I was just stuck with something to phrase, and I pulled on a listing for and a phrase from some other listing. I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, agree 100%. It would just be really weird. Some parts look very copied. So, and then you probably get an issue with some copyright infringement and stuff. So we don't want to do that. Yeah, so AI tools still take a little bit, but give you a good idea if you're really stuck, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And last but not least, branding. So branding, obviously, most of my students are private labelers, and brand is a huge topic. So, and they read all this stuff and they come to me and say, okay, what am I going to do with my brand? Where do I write things about my brand? So where, and do I have to have a brand voice on all my products, or can I just be product specific and forget about my brand voice?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it really does, depend, are you like, I work with one client that their brand is, they just kind of like do weird like niches and find weird niches for a lot of things. So like they don't necessarily have a strong voice. They have some kids products where they go a little bit more, fun kid language. But so I think it does really depend on what you're doing, right? If it's something super like, utility based, like a light or something, right? Maybe you don't need like the strongest brand voice ever. You still want to get benefits and emotions across. But maybe that could be, because a super just jumpy, like happy, like, it might not really fit something like practical like that. Right. So it really does depend. But if your products are very similar, like and all within the same kind of space, then I think having a brand voice is really important. And reflecting it in your Amazon, especially the copy on your Amazon images, right? With the bullets, you only have so much space and you need to get keywords in. So you still want it there, but really on your images, right? Make sure all your coloring is consistent throughout all your images on all of your listings. And then also, having a website, even if you are not selling on your website yet, like you definitely want to have a website, because someone might check, right? If they're really shopper who really wants to check out all this stuff, they might check out your website. So, having at least something up that is branded and does have kind of a certain brand voice to it, for sure, can be important.
So for newer sellers who just got into it, they don't need to pay too much attention to the brand voice. Once you get some traction, have multiple products, and start selling offline and
it can always be revisited, right? You can always do a rebranding as well. Like you didn't quite nail it, or you don't really know. There's plenty of people that can help you with that as well. And so it could be something that develops over time, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I learned a ton. Probably have to go through some of my listings, and I'm looking forward to talk about something else next time, maybe about social media posts or something, so I can learn there, and my clients as well. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you.